me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
When the headlines move fast, perspective matters. On Editor's Cut, our editors come together with experts to distill the week's information plates into clear perspective. Down the stories shaping the world, from markets and the economy to global conflicts and what lies ahead. This is where experience meets insight. No noise, no hype.
Hello, welcome. You're watching Ask Profit here at NDTV Profit. I'm Mahima Bajaj, and with me is Puneet Zaveri, and this is a show that gets all your stock-related queries answered. So start, sending us all your queries on the numbers that are flashing on your screen up there. But before we start doing that, also let's take a quick look as to how the markets are doing at the moment. Well, not a very good day for markets. Yesterday, per se, was slightly better as compared to how we've seen last week. But today, the Nifty 50 is trading around 0.3% lower at its day's high point, though there's recovery from the day's low point for sure. But we'll be watching out for as to how things pan out. And it's a narrow range of trade, 63 odd points is what we're seeing when it comes to Nifty 50. Let's try to pull the chart, the Nifty 50 heat map up and see as to what are the counters that are making it to the list in terms of both buzzers, both ends buzzers. You have BEL losing the most ground, 2.7% of downtick on the back of its Q4 numbers. There's Tata Steel, which is also still under pressure, down 2.3 odd percent. Eternal yesterday did see a rally of rally with Eternal. One day it will see a run up and then it will see profit booking.
So the rally isn't Eternal, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, probably. And there's JSW Steel, which is also seeing a downtick of around 1 odd percent. But on the flip side, you have Hindalco, which is up almost 3.26%. We saw Novelis numbers coming out. Bajaj Auto also up 1 odd percent. You have ONGC also gaining by about 1%. Reliance seeing an uptick of around just 0.6 odd percent. Let's try to pull up the sectoral heat map and see as to what sectors are doing right now. In the morning, you had the entire screen in red. At least pharma seeing some bit of a leeway, but pharma now has gained around 0.5% as we speak, followed by Nifty Energy, which is up 0.4%. But media continues to be the top laggard, down 2.1%, followed by Realty, which has seen profit booking in the last couple of days, down 0.9%. FMCG also down by about 0.8 odd percent, and Bank also down by about 0.6 odd percent. Bank, I mean, let's try to pull up the Nifty Bank because it's ranging in that 53,000 levels as we speak. So we'll have to watch out for as to how that fares as well, because it's a range of around 350 odd points today. So that's in regards to where the banks go, and the advanced decline ratio, because that gives us a picture as to what's happening in the broader end of spectrum, because largely the moves are driven by earnings or news flows, and you still have it in the favors of the bears as we speak, but the gap at least has narrowed, right, between the advance and the decline ratio. You have around 1600 odd declines versus that of 980 odd advances. So I mean, even the broad end of spectrum is not very lucrative today.
Yeah, most certainly. I think it's been a day of recovery in that sense, because I think at the start also just one Nifty stock, which was Hindalco, was in the green, now getting to the 19 to 20 mark. So hopefully that recovery mode essentially continues at this point of time, but the mid cap and the small cap also reflect that, and that's visible on the screen as well. So Mahima spoke about the advanced decline ratio. Let's look at the mid cap 150, starting to see some recovery from the lower end, but still in the red. and the small cap 250 also at this point of time, where it's continuing to see that momentum in the trend very similar to the mid cap. But the individual names though, and we've been talking about it since the morning, that these individual names continue to dominate the market. So the BSE 500 also, while showing some strength today in certain key names, PCBL, Zydus, Live, Balaji Amines are some of them. Prince Pipe on results also. There are subsequent losers also reflecting that in PI Industries, Z Entertainment, IFB, as well as what we are seeing on Hindustan Copper and JK Paper as well. But that is the picture of the markets today as well. Let's start answering your stock related queries as well now. And let me welcome in our guest for today, Vaishali Parekh, Vice President Technical Research at PL Capital, and Gaurang Shah, Senior Vice President at Georgette Investment. Both of you, thanks so much for joining in. Let me go across, start taking the first stock related query for now. And this one's coming in on Zydus Life. Our viewer Pavitra is holding 85 shares at the 1014 and asking what she should do with this counter now. So she must have bought it very recently or has been holding in for a while. Asking if she should hold on or book profits. Gaurang, a very good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining in. I don't know if you have this stock under coverage, but really strong results yesterday and that momentum continuing as well today. What's your outlook on the stock if you cover it, and if not, anything in the space that you like right now?
Thank you so much, Puneet, for having me on your show this morning. Good morning to all the viewers of NDTV Profit, to Vaishali, to you, and to Mahima and to the entire team. A small disclosure that all recommendations that I'll be sharing with you this morning on your show, they are part of our fundamental research team recommendations from a long-term point of view. Our company, Jyoti, or myself, we do not have any kind of personal investments, no financial interest, no conflict of interest, but we share similar investment ideas with our clients. They might have their investment interest. So I think in the current events which are unfolding with respect to the Middle East geopolitical tension and to and fro flyby by President Trump and Iran in terms of peaceful resolution being documented, signed, seen, and delivered. There are a couple of sectors which hold out, Puneet, and IT and pharma are the ones. This also is in the sweet spotlight because of the weak rupee against the dollar, because these two sectors have a tailwind positive whenever this situation erupts. As far as Zydus Life is concerned, well, if you have time by your side, and of course the numbers were slightly better than what we had estimated for Zydus Life. If you have time by your side, I don't think you should be any kind of hurry to exit the investment. Hold on for long term.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on Zydus Life Sciences. In fact, the company also went ahead and announced a buyback, and we saw an uptick in the counter today. Today also it's gaining by about 5%. But moving on to the next one, which is coming in from Charan, who is writing us from Bengaluru, asking about Jyoti Structures. Now, comparatively, this is a small company with a market cap of around 1,400 odd crores. Vaishali, he is holding 340 shares at the levels of 32 and wants a view on the charts from a slightly long-term perspective. Any view that you can give?
Hi, very good morning, Mahima, Puneet, and Gaurang. So, starting with Jyoti Structures, I think the stock is currently taking support at around 12 levels. I think continue holding because this stock has seen good activity and it is just showing signs of bounce back. So, I would say on a broad base, 10 should act as a support. And if this above 14 rupees, this can go for a further upward going towards 18 and 20 and so on. So as risk ratio is favorable, 10 be the stop loss.
Got that view, Vaishali, and welcome to the show as well. The next question coming in, and it's a disputed one on IT. Coforge is the one that Birandeep is asking on. He's holding shares at 1230 and asking if he should book profits now or wait, wait for some more time at this point of time with this counter. Gaurang, yesterday was a day of recovery in IT, but what's your view post, the earnings season? Do you feel that there are selective names that you could get bullish on, and what's your view on Coforge as well?
Well, so Puneet, I think a couple of stocks from the mid-cap IT universe were in the spotlight for all the good reasons. Coforge was one of them. Yesterday we saw 6% uptick with names like Tata Tech. And like we were discussing about pharma, I mentioned about a tailwind positive for IT, being rupee lifetime low against the US dollar. 1600 plus is the target from a long-term point of view for Coforge. Puneet, and I would also like to make one disclosure that, 5-10 years back or maybe more, the kind of run rate in terms of delivery on investment that I used to give, that is in the rearview mirror now. That will not be, replicated again, given the challenges in terms of innovation, complex tools, and AI. Companies will have to reinvent themselves to keep up with the competition and the changes. Companies who don't will possibly fail and fade. Companies who can will definitely shine and prosper. So as of now, continue Coforge. 1600 plus, review your position.
All right, so that's the view coming in on Coforge. The next one is also a long-term query, Gaurav. This is on Bajaj Housing Finance. Our viewer Balaji from Chennai is holding around 1200 stocks, bought at the levels of 108. Wants to know if we can continue to hold this for the next 5 years. What's your view?
So Mahima, we're positive on the sector. We like two names, LIC Housing Finance and KFin Homes. And though, Bajaj Housing Finance, when the IPO came, Mahima, it came after almost a decade, correct me if I'm wrong, from the group, Bajaj Group. And the stock is currently languishing below its IPO price. Again, I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong. We don't cover Bajaj Housing Finance, but like I said, we are positive on the sector. LIC Housing Finance and KFin Homes are the two names. One word of cautious immediately in the short to medium term because of rising inflation. The estimates or calculations or the mathematical approach that we did at the beginning of the year in terms of interest rate cuts, because of inflation moving up, I think we are in a pause right now, as mentioned by the Honorable RBI Governor last time in the credit policy. In case if inflation inch up, I think we'll have to revise our calculation in terms of higher interest rates. In that kind of a scenario, interest rate sensitive sectors and companies will be a little bit negative overhang from short to medium term.
Got that view, Gaurang. It's going back, to those lows that we saw at the end of March, roughly around 78, went down to 75 as well. But that's Gaurang's view on the space, essentially, of what's to look at as well. But next counter coming in on Bank of Maharashtra, and our viewer Ash from Patna actually is holding shares at 77.8. He's holding 5,000 shares for the short term. What would you recommend here, Vaishali, on the charts? Is there any view? I think we see.
Well, so chartically, it is in a good.
Yeah, Vaishali, go ahead. I think there's some lag in your internet connection, but we'll give it a go.
Yes, so it is chartically, it is quite in a good uptrend, and continue holding because it is just a regular retracement. But however, keep a stop loss of 75 because in all likelihood, this can retest 85 and perhaps even higher, go towards 90-95.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on Bank of Maharashtra. The next one that we have is on Belrise Industries. Now, Sharath from Bengaluru says that he has around 755 watt shares at an average price of 171. Wants to know if he can go ahead and accumulate more at the current market price that we have is on Belrise Industries. Now, Sharath from Bengaluru says that he has around 755 watt shares at an average price of 171. Wants to know if he can go ahead and accumulate more at the current market price from a 2-year perspective. Gaurav?
Clearly, so I won't give any specific in terms of buy, sell and hold. I'm sorry about this.
Anything on the charts, Vaishali, that you like for Belrise? Because we've seen a very stellar move since listing as well. And, we're flashing that 132% from that issue price of 90. Anything on the charts for you?
Well, it looks very buoyant, and I think even currently it is just consolidating. So if one has to start buying, I would say wait for a little bit of a dip, perhaps up to 190, 200 levels, and that would be the level to get into the trade because that can be a good fresh entry level and look for a target of 250.
Got it. Well, 250. That's going to be a good target for Belrise. And has been in a one-way move as visible on the charts, up 114%, right? 250. That's going to be a good target for Belrise, and has been in a one-way move as visible on the charts, up 114% right now. But let's go across. Take another caller from New Delhi, and Sanjay is joining in for a stock query. Sanjay, very good morning. Welcome to the show. What's your query?
Yes. Yeah, my query is regarding Ashiana Housing, which I bought it, say, about 2 years back on my anniversary in September 2024. 500 shares at the rate of 368 rupees, 65 rupees. It has come again one after 2 years again at the same level. What should I do? Matlab, either I should exit and or shall I wait for any such profits in it? It's almost exactly more than 2 years had been passed away.
Got it. That's a view and you know a pertinent one at this point of time. But Gaurang, I know you gave a view on the housing finance space and you know in terms of that question. But anything that you for Bajaj Housing, but anything that you have on Ashiana Housing by any chance, and if not, what's in coverage for you in that space?
Well, so I'll let Vaishali take this because we don't have a coverage. And like I mentioned, Puneet, amongst the housing finance companies, we are positive on LIC and KFin Homes. To give this gentleman a word of pacification or comfort. So while your investment didn't do anything over the last 2 years, markets have also not done anything. So no complaints.
Got that view, and I know it doesn't help directly on that question, Sanjay, but hopefully you know you can see a little bit more in terms of the results when they come in Q4. Let's go across and take another query then, and you know this one. It's coming on Fujiyama Power. Go across and take another query then, and you know this one. It's coming on Fujiyama Power. It's a recent listing, has done well for investors, and our viewer Rajesh has actually bought it at 287. And let's look at the 1 year chart also. Of course, it's not listed in the last year, but the long-term chart also. He's holding 50 shares. Gaurang, anything on coverage for the renewable energy or that space? And there you go, the 23% return for since listing for Fujiyama. But anything that you like, Gaurang, in that green energy space, renewable space, anything that you like in the solar module space? What's your topic?
So amongst these, perfect. On Fujiyama, no specific comments, Puneet, since we don't have coverage, but we like the sector. And Puneet, our view is that with the ongoing conflict, which has resulted into a little bit of more negative impact on our country because of our dependency, I think government is going to do a lot more in terms of renewable, clean and green power. Two names appear over there, Vari Energies and Suzlon. We're positive on these two, but other power generating companies have also gone into solar and wind. For example, Tata Power has stepped up quite well in terms of solar. They have made some deep inroads in terms of semi-urban and rural India getting a good market share. So we remain positive on these names.
All right, so that's the view coming in on the entire power space. But I think we've got Aruna who's calling us from Hyderabad. Aruna, very good morning to you. Go ahead, ask your question.
Hi, very good morning to all of you, ma'am. Thanks for taking my query. I'm having Angel One, 1,000 quantity at 280 average. So, yeah, what is the long-term and short-term view on this?
Okay, got your question, Aruna. And by the way, Aruna, we've been, getting viewers have been asking us and have been pointing out that you've been calling us from different numbers and using different names. So I'll suggest you don't do that. We generally take one query per viewer every day. So we'll request you to stick to that. We'll of course take your calls, but please stick to one query per day. That's a humble request. But I'll take up your query today with Vaishali. Vaishali, your view on Angel One. She's been holding 1,000 quantity at the levels of 280, I think she mentioned.
Is bought from lower levels, keep trailing stop loss of 305 because this is on a verge of a breakout. About 330, if this sustains, this can go towards 340, 345. So this is the strategy for as far as the trading levels are concerned. So act accordingly.
Got that view, Vaishali. But the next question coming in from Ram from Chennai, and his question is. Interesting one on Barbecue Nation. Stock's not doing too well, but Gaurang, he's mentioning to us that he's been following, he's been following you from the Ask BQ days, which is of course the previous avatar for us, and he feels that you look younger and younger. I think there's a lot that we would also agree on. But any view that you have on Barbecue Nation, if not on the space, anything. He's mentioning to us that he's been following, he's been following you from the Ask BQ days, which is of course the previous avatar for us, and he feels that you look younger and younger. I think there's a lot that we would also agree on. But any view that you have on Barbecue Nation, if not on the space, anything that you like?
Well, thank you so much, Ram, for being a follower for such a long time. And yes, it has been a change of avatar, not only for the channel, but for myself as well, Puneet. Grays have been coming in, salt and peppers, the kind of thing right now. Having said that, amongst the QSR segment, one company which was one of the leading, we had a coverage during IPO, if I'm not mistaken, many years back, Puneet. I don't recollect it very well. But currently, we do have positive coverage on Jubilant Foodworks. The fact of the matter is, we had a coverage during IPO, if I'm not mistaken, many years back, Puneet. I don't recollect it very well. But currently, we do have positive coverage on Jubilant Foodworks. The fact of the matter, Puneet, is that our 140 crore plus population, 35% is young, and they have got some tickling taste buds for the offerings that these QSR companies offer. Won't go specific into Barbecue Nation, but yeah, we like the sector. Jubilant Foodworks is the topic.
Okay, all right. So that's the view with regards to where the QSR space goes. But the next one is coming in on consumer durable space. Our viewer Jaideep from Mumbai is holding 4,500 shares of Electronics Mart, which he purchased on at the levels of 149, and he wants to know whether he should continue to hold or sell. What's the overall outlook for the entire consumer durable industry is what he's asking from a 1 to 2 year perspective. So, Gaurang, I'll stick with you for this one. Your view on Electronics Mart and the entire consumer durable space?
So, again, a relatively new name. Don't have much inputs on Electronics Mart, but I'll give a brief about the sector and the current challenges, Mahima, that the sector faces in terms of input and parts. And that has been very well elaborated by companies which are into consumer durable appliances. So we have positive coverage on Havells, we have positive coverage on Blue Star, Voltas, Symphony. We had a subscribe recommendation for LG Electronics when the IP was there just some time back. So there has been a price revision, Mahima, over the last couple of months, and the verbatim given by some of the consumer durable manufacturing companies' management is that they are going to go in for price hike because the cost of landed goods or raw materials is the availability as well. So, we can expect a price hike in the next couple of months from these companies. Will depend upon how much each company is able to pass on and how much of it the company is going to take it as a sacrifice in terms of the profit margins. But we like the sector overall.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming on consumer durable. In fact, Blue Star did speak to us very recently, and they've gone ahead and said that an 8% of price hikes is something that's already on the cards, plus a 5% going forward would be required considering how things pan out. So, you rightly mentioned, Gaurang, that price hikes will definitely be on cards for a lot of these consumer durable names. But moving on and taking a look at the F&O space, we have Sharad joining by to give us a perspective on what the F&O setup is looking like. Sharad, over to you.
Well, Mahima, it looks like it's the same exact copy of the last two trading sessions. We are still in a range-bound move, a little bit of consolidation, but yes, a negative sentiment is still weighing in, and of course, Reliance, a good recovery has come in. It's one of the top gainers in Sensex, Sun Pharma, L&T, M&M also, and a little bit of strength coming in from the IT stocks as well. But definitely, Eternal, Tata Steel and BL are under pressure. But yes, it's still in a narrow range, but there is still value buying happening in SMIDs, especially the Q4 number reactions are showing either sides a good momentum. But coming back to the F&O space, let's see what's there in the long build-up here. Largely Zydus Life on back of earnings, and even Hindalco Novelis's numbers were very strong, and that's why we're seeing a good volume-based buying across both of these counters. Apart from this long build-up, let's also focus on the other stocks. That's the short build-up. PI Industries stock is long build-up here. Largely Zydus Life on back of earnings, and even Hindalco Novelis's numbers were very strong, and that's why we're seeing a good volume-based buying across both of these counters. Apart from this long build-up, let's also focus on the other stocks. That's the short. While for Ludha over here, we're seeing some kind of reversals there. Yesterday, we saw realty stocks gaining in trade, but now a reversal. Long unwinding for Godfrey Phillips as well as AU Small Finance Bank. But remember, the signals are still in a very narrow range for most of the F&O counters. And short covering, interestingly, is coming in for Persistent Systems and Astral as well. We had mentioned about the mid-cap IT space for Godfrey Phillips as well as AU Small Finance Bank. But remember, the signals are still in a very narrow range for most of the F&O counters. And short covering, interestingly, is coming in for Persistent Systems and Astral as well. We had mentioned about the mid-cap IT space where the strength is still there, of course, over the last 2 to 3 trading sessions. So this is how the stocks are moving in the F&O space.
Thanks so much for that, Sharad. But viewers as well as Gaurang and Vaishali, it's now time for the rapid fire round in this edition of Fast Profit. Keep your answers as short as possible. The first one coming in on IRCTC, bought at 686 by a viewer, Tom. Vaishali wants to know what he should do with his 95 shares.
Exit.
Okay, the next one that we have is on Shriram Finance. Our viewer Vivek from Himachal is holding 50 shares at the levels of 1040. Should he continue to hold or average?
Pawan is holding on to HAL and is currently at an 8% loss. Gaurang, any view on what he should do now?
A strong competitor, no specific comments, but the order book is strong. Earnings visibility is much stronger.
Okay, Britannia bought at an average price of 5830. 10 shares is what Mano from Gurugram is holding for almost 2 years now. Can he continue to hold further? Vaishali, on the charts for Britannia?
Hold, and if it dips at towards 5,000, add more.
Our viewer Jigar is holding on to HDFC Bank at 650. So he's been holding on for a while. Gaurang, should he continue to do that? Is it a good time to add more?
Well, honestly, I don't know when he bought it because 650 is not the level I have seen in the recent times. We have a positive coverage, hold and add for long term.
Okay, Uno Minda. Gaurav, your fundamental view on this one is what our viewer is looking at. He's bought 35 shares at the levels of 1140. Average, hold, exit?
Average sub 1000 levels or closer to 1000, we have a positive coverage for long term.
Vaishali, our viewer, Mr. Rao, wants to know if it's a good time to enter any of these IT names, TCS, Infosys, HCL, Tech Mahindra.
I think Tech Mahindra and Infosys.
Okay, Capacite Infra bought at the levels of 267. 1,000 shares is what our viewer Jawahar Babu is holding. Vaishali?
Tech Mahindra.
I think Tech Mahindra and Infosys.
Okay, Capacite Infra bought at the levels of 267. 1,000 shares is what our viewer Jawahar Babu is holding. Vaishali, your view on the charts, add or sell? Capacite Infra is what we're talking about.
Yes, I think keep a stop loss of 220.
Between Hindustan Zinc and Hindustan Copper, which is the right one to buy right now? Gaurang, would you recommend either of them right now?
So Hindustan Zinc is something that we have a positive coverage on.
Okay, Genus Power, 300 shares bought at the levels of 313 for a period of 1 week. Can our viewer continue to hold or sell it? Vaishali, short-term view, very short-term view on the charts.
Short-term view, 300 is the support and 320, 325 is the target.
Mazgon Dock, Vaishali, bought by a viewer Priyanka at 2489. Looking for a short-term view on this one as well.
So Mazgon Dock currently 2404. I think continue holding 2450, 2480 can be the target.
Okay, the next one is for you again, Vaishali. Swiggy, 110 shares bought at the levels of 380. Harsha from Vijayawada wants to know whether to continue to hold, add or sell from a short-term perspective.
Hold with a stop loss of 245 and can see 280.
So on what you should do now?
This was difficult for me because we had a coverage on the positive side. It's under review. No comments.
Okay, the next one is on Gillette India. Our viewer is holding since the level of 7708. 50 shares is what Murli has been holding. Fundamental view on this one, if any, Gaurang?
It's one of the most promising companies in the FMCG, especially the men category and now even women category, the kind of products they have. Very strong company. Won't give specifics since we don't have coverage.
Next one's from Krishna from Hyderabad. He bought Tanla Platforms at 816 to almost 4 years ago. He's still in losses. Vaishali, on the charts, is there any revival here to sustain? What should he do?
It is showing signs of revival. 450 is the support, and if this stock moves above 600, it gets into a good strong trend going towards 750.
Got it. Well, that is the end of the first round of the rapid fire in this edition of Fast Profit. There's another one in about 20 odd minutes. So viewers, stay tuned. We'll just take a very short break. Come back with a lot more stock related queries on the other side.
Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk, including potential loss of capital, liquidity risk, and market volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk, including potential loss of capital, liquidity risk, and market volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision.
India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversation.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance.
Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversation.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
When the headlines move fast, perspective matters. On Editor's Cut, our editors come together with experts to distill the week's information blitz into clear perspective. Down the stories shaping the world, from markets and the economy to global conflicts and what lies ahead. This is where experience meets insight. No noise, no hype, just sharp takes on what to watch next. Editor's Cut, every Friday, 3:30 p.m. only on NDTV Profit.
Economy, business, world, technology. Noise filtered, numbers decoded. Insights that rewire your worldview. From governance to growth, we connect the dots. Your daily edge, your global advantage. In Profit.
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends.
Welcome back. You're watching Ask Profit right here on NDTV Profit. And if you haven't already, do start sending in your stock related queries on the number that's flashing on the top of your screen. You can also call us on the landline number and speak to our guests directly as well. And Lakshmi from Chennai has exactly done that. Lakshmi, very good morning to you. What's your query?
Very good morning to all of you, sir. I wanted to buy Tata Steel.
Okay.
So what is the price to enter and what is the short-term and long-term target for this?
And are you looking at the charts while entering this counter, Lakshmi, or are you looking at the fundamentals?
Charts only, sir.
Okay. Vaishali, let me come to you then on Tata Steel. You've seen a very strong run-up. But what's the momentum on the charts now?
So I would say overall full metal sector has given a good run-up. It's just consolidating. So Tata Steel, I think a good support level would be between 195 to 200 levels. That would.
But what's the momentum on the charts now?
So I would say overall full metal sector has given a good run-up. It's just.
Mr. KV Narayana Rao from Visakhapatnam is holding 100 shares at the levels of 3,200 and wants to know from a 2-year perspective Can you continue to hold? Maybe add more at the current market price. Gaurang, your view on this one?
So, Mahima, since the time this arm got separated and listed as a separate entity from Siemens into Siemens Energy. So as a disclosure, when the combined entity was there, Siemens, we had a positive coverage. We continue to have a positive coverage on Siemens. On Siemens Energy, we don't have coverage, but this entire sector again looks very, very promising. Whether it is to do with Hitachi or companies like Siemens Energy or companies like Vabag or companies like Thermax, a very promising business outlook in terms of orders coming in, and execution of orders for these companies is above industry standards because of their capability, capacity, experience, manpower, and technology. So it's a strong company, very competent player and able to take up challenges. Won't give specifics since we don't have coverage.
Okay, all right. So that's the view on Siemens Energy. I think we've got Chetna who's calling us from Gujarat. Chetna, very good morning to you. What's your query about?
Madam, last June I was purchased 171 shares of Kavveri Defence at rupees 124.66. But after that it was rising, then suddenly it came down. I was thinking like it may go high. I was waiting and I was added some more shares also, but it's right now it's 50% of loss. I don't know what to do. Please guide me.
You said Kavveri Defence, is it?
Yes, madam. Kavveri Defence. KAVDEFENCE.
Okay, all right.
Cow Defence, like the defense.
Okay, it's a very small company, Chetna, and I'm guessing you looked at the charts while buying this one?
Yes, madam. No. Without knowledge, I was purchased. I was new trader.
Yeah. Okay, understood. So, understood your point, Chetna. And I'm buying this one?
Yes, madam. No. Without
understood. So, understood your point, Chetna, and I'll take this up with Vaishali. Vaishali, it's a very small cap company. Chetna, first of all, before I go to Vaishali, and I think Vaishali will agree with me, it's a very small cap company, a 300 crore market cap. So, if you're starting out very new, you shouldn't venture out to such micro cap companies, right? But if you've had the chance to take a look at the charts, Vaishali, any view that you can give, Chetna?
Well, chartically, there's nothing much happening. All I can say is that it's just a consolidation. So if you're lucky, this stock can, just take a support at 60 levels and give a bounce up to maybe 80. Else, I would say please switch to a good, healthy stock.
Got that view, Vaishali, and hopefully that helps you, Chetna, as well. But the next question coming in on from our viewer Venkat from Q4 results. But Gaurang, from the piping space, we were expecting inventory gains in Q4, but that could reverse in Q1, right? Because of the volatility. So should investors take a look at these results with a pinch of salt? How are you viewing the space? Anything that you like?
Well, so we do have positive coverage on Prince Pipes and Fittings. Other than that, Astral is the other one that we have a positive coverage on, Puneet. And this entire theme that the government has very well elaborated and implemented at ground level, and that is Har Ghar Mein Jal or Har Nal Se Jal. Difficult times, Puneet, when the Met Department or the SkyMet tells us that we're going to have a deficit monsoon of 92 to 94% of long-term averages. But I think there's been a very well elaborated plan in terms of connectivity, in terms of water supply, irrigation, etc. Long term, remain positive. So if you have it, hold it. If you have it at higher level, maybe on dips you can add it, and if you don't have it, very well elaborated plan in terms of connectivity, in terms of water supply, irrigation, etc. Long term, remain positive. So if you have it, hold it. If you have it at higher level, maybe on dips you can add it, and if you don't have it, you can buy it for long.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on Prince Pipes. We've got our next caller. I think Shirdi is calling us from Hyderabad. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Go ahead, ask your question.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, thank you. So my question is on KFin Tech. I see the stock dropping over like 16%, 17% from where I bought at 974. I see that the profit YOY has declined, but I'm seeing that this will be like a revival story again once the Ascent Fund Services, whatever they have acquired recently, actually synergizes with the business. So that's my take, and I wish to accumulate more at this particular juncture. I want a fundamental view on this.
Okay, fair. Got your question, Shri, and I'll take this up with Vaishali. Down to hit a low of almost 806. So corrected quite a bit. Your view on the charts, considering that are you seeing some revival? Do you think that the downturn is now over and there could be some up move which could give some profits to Shri?
Yes, Mahima, that's what I think, because the stock has just corrected one way and right now it's in deep oversold and trying to come out of it. So at this juncture, of course, I would not say exit or something. You can expect
profits to Shri.
Yes, Mahima, that's what I think, because the stock has just corrected one way and right now it's in deep oversold and trying to come out of it. So at this juncture, of course, I would not say exit or something. You can expect a bounce back. If the going is good, I would say 750 would be the support. And if we see a good bounce, this can go perhaps to 950 to 1050. 1050 is the big hurdle because that is a stronger 200-day moving average resistance. So hold on with, now that you've held on for so long, 750 should be the stop loss and wait for this to surge high.
Got that view, Vaishali, but the next question is coming from Akshay. He was holding on to Tata Motors before the demerger, so he has both those shares now. And wants to know what he should do with this counter. And if he should hold on or exit. Gaurang, I think Q4 for the PV business, India was, I think, one of the best that we've seen ever. But the JLR business continues to hamper the profitability. His price post, that has also come down a little bit. But what's your view on the stock? Anything that you like between the two, if there is a preference?
Well, so we had a coverage as a single entity, Puneet, before it got hyped out into two different businesses. Tata Motor was consistently in our coverage at that point of time. And post that, currently we have a positive coverage on Tata Motors CV. And CV business is doing quite well compared to the PV business. And like you rightly mentioned, JLR has been a little bit of weight heavy for the Tata Motor PV balance sheet. There is a little bit of uncertainty in terms of when the business is going to pick up. And in these kind of times, Puneet, it even becomes more challenging.
Got Krishna waiting by. Krishna, a very good morning to you. What's your query about?
Good morning. Actually, I wanted to know about the HDFC. What would be the current stage and how long I can hold it? For short duration or preferably long?
Okay, so you've not bought it yet, I believe.
I have few.
Okay.
I just want to add up some more.
So when you bought them, was it the charts that you saw or did you see the fundamentals of the company?
It was based on fundamentals, but it was quite long. It's consistently falling now.
Fair. Okay. I got your question, Krishna. I'll take this up with Gaurang then. Gaurang, we already took your view in the rapid fire round, but...
it was based on fundamentals, but it was quite long. It's consistently falling now.
Fair. Okay. I got your question, Krishna. I'll take this up with Gaurang then. Gaurang, we already took your view in the rapid fire round, but if you can give an elaborated view on HDFC Bank to Krishna.
Well, so Krishna, if you're a long-term investor, I don't know, you not mentioned at what price you got in at. But in case you got in at 800, 850 or 900 levels, or maybe at higher levels, my view is, first of all, our recommendation from our fundamental team is to hold on to it. Your question was whether to add more. Now, given the fact that I'm not aware about what level you got in at earlier, if the stock is available maybe 5-10% or maybe more compared to what you got earlier, maybe if you bought in at 900, 950 and currently the stock is trading from a long-term point of view, maybe 50% you can average, and if you have a little bit more risk appetite, you can average a little bit more. But continue to hold, and average should be the strategy.
That view, Gaurang, and let's go across, take another query now. This one's on EPAC Durable. The company comes out with results today as well, so keep a note of that, viewers. But Viro Pakashay is actually holding shares at 180 and he's holding 1,000 shares. So he is currently in profits. But of course, it's come down considerably from that 400 level that he used to trade at. But Gaurang, you mentioned about the cooling product space. You have coverage on Voltas, Blue Star, Symphony, etc. But EPAC also in that space, but has been one of the bearing the brunt essentially of that lower consumer durable AC demand. What are you watching out for in this quarter for some of these companies? Blue Star has of course come out with results, so has Voltas. So your takeaway, if people should continue to hold, given that quarter 1 is generally a summer season, but what would you recommend?
So honestly, Puneet, I think a delayed summer and then price hike did dampen the demand outlook for consumer durable companies, specifically those who are into ACs. So honestly, Puneet, I think a delayed summer and then price hike did dampen the demand outlook for consumer durable companies, specifically those who are into ACs. My view, our personal view, Puneet, is that the demand from semi-urban and rural India is going to go up to a great extent. And that's what some of the managements have elaborated and given a detailed verbatim as to demand not only coming from metros, tier 2, tier 3 cities, but more so from the semi-urban and rural India. And the fact is also that every year you have seen temperature rise. I think it was not a time in Mumbai especially to see temperatures of maybe about 42 degrees and 45 degrees. It feels like, that kind of a temperature. And up north, the temperature is always rising. So from long term, the demand is going to come back. And that is going to help all these companies.
Okay, all right. So that's the view coming in on a lot of these consumer durable as well as EMS names. But the next one is from Setunath, from their financial going forward. And that's something that the CEO highlighted in the con call. So he's studied the con call as well, but he wants, Gaurang, your view on this one, if any.
Well, so gold loan, this is the tricky one, Mahima. It is not going to be only negative for South Indian Bank, but all the banks and especially the gold loan companies, given the volatility in the gold and silver prices. So from a long-term point of view, on South Indian Bank, we have an accumulate stance. And I don't think short-term negativity in terms of one-off quarter should be a reason for changing your goals and objective as far as long-term investment is concerned, Mahima. Bank, we have an accumulate stance. And I don't think short-term negativity in terms of one-off quarter should be a reason for changing your goals and objective as far as long-term investment is concerned.
Holding 550 shares at an average price of 165. Wants to know if it's a good idea to add more, continue to hold or sell. What's the technical outlook on this one is what Shankar is asking. Vaishali, your view on the charts for Samman Capital.
So actually it is in a downward trend, but today's candle shows some revival. So I would say keep today's low as stop loss and continue holding. 145 is acting.
Is asking. Vaishali, your view on the charts for Samman Capital.
So actually it is in a downward trend, but today's candle shows some revival. So I would say keep today's low as stop loss and continue holding. 145 is acting as a crucial resistance. If it moves past, then you will look for your targets of 165 and so on. So today's low should be the stop loss.
Got that view. The next question coming in now, this one, on Avalon Tech, we actually had a brokerage note from Nomura also, which initiated coverage on this stock. And, our viewer, Bindu, wants to know if it's a good time to buy right now. Gaurang, in the EMS space, how are you viewing the counter? Because you've seen the top 2-3 names, Dixon, Keynes, Amber Enterprises, not enthuse the street. You saw a big brunt of that on Keynes as well. While the smaller names are starting to see more conviction, if I can use that word, in terms of sustained 30% growth. Which camp are you in? Anything that you like?
Well, in the equity market, Puneet, it is always better to be on the positive camp, right? Negativity doesn't help over a longer period of time. Having said that, Puneet, the negativity or these stocks have not enthused the market only in the short to medium term. I think over the last maybe about 5 days or 10 days. Beyond that, if you actually go to see, names like Amber or Dixon or Avalon, or maybe names like under which we have coverage. So we have coverage on Amber Enterprises, we have coverage on PG Electroplast, we have coverage on, or maybe names like under which we have coverage. So we have coverage on Amber Enterprises, we have coverage on PG Electroplast, we have coverage on CG Power. All these names have done well. So maybe, and some of them may have run up before the numbers and post the numbers they have corrected. So long term, again, keeping in mind the government PLI scheme, focus on Atmanirbhar Bharat, reducing dependency on imports of whether it is chips, semiconductors, PCBs, etc. I think we have a long way. And companies are adding more capacities, Puneet. Now, that's a very good positive takeaway as far as the long-term growth trajectory is concerned. So we remain positive on this sector, EMS. We are positive on, as I mentioned, Amber Enterprises, CG Power and PG Electroplast.
The next one that we have is on Aether. Our viewer Chandrasekhar from Bengaluru wants to know if he can go ahead and buy at the current levels from a slightly long-term perspective. Vaishali, your view on the charts?
Yes, it has a very strong uptrend. I was 830 levels still add more because I think this stock is going to go to much higher levels in times to come.
Talking about Aether Energy or Aether Industries, because both counters are near that 800 to 900 mark. Just wanted to get a clarity.
I spoke about Aether Energy. If you want me to give you
in industries also, if you can give a view.
Yeah, so I think this too is looking good. Can be added at this level, 1050, and look for a near-term target of 1300.
The other one, it's on on JK Tyres. Actually, if it's the right time to enter, is what Kiran is asking. On the charts, Vaishali, anything that you're picking up?
Yeah, so this was beaten down, I guess, because of high crude.
Is what Kiran is asking. On the charts, Vaishali, anything that you're picking up?
Yeah, so this was beaten down, I guess, because of high crude and maybe extra this. But I think deep oversold, long-term trend is still good. Start buying from here on. You can see good returns from here.
Okay, all right. The next one that we have is on Garware High Tech. Sumana from Dubai is holding 50 shares, bought at the levels of 4,600. Says it started to move up a few days ago. What's the upside target for this one? Vaishali, your view on the charts?
Sorry, Garware High Tech.
Yes, Garware High Tech. Currently trading at 55.69. It's spelled as Garvare.
Yes, I got it. I got it. It's already in an uptrend. So what is the question? You want to hold or book profit or what is it?
Target is what he's asking.
Okay, so I think this can go towards 6,000. The trend is good. It has gone above all the highs. So I think this can go for the near-term target of 6,000. So continue holding with the trading stop loss of 5,400.
Got that view. The next question, that's coming in. So he's currently sitting on profits and he's holding 260 shares as well. Asking if this is the level, if he can add a little bit more at this point of time. It's been good results, Gaurang. Would you recommend adding more now? It's slightly at the pricier junction, right? At 35 to 36 times.
Look, anything good in the market is going to come at a premium and anything bad is going to come at a discount, right? Puneet, so happens to be a very strong player in the entire defense-backed PEL. We've been having a positive coverage. Our targets, if I recollect right and my memory serves me right, is somewhere close to about 505. Very strong order book. Other than having the strong order book, Puneet, the company's got, again, manpower, technology, and machinery to execute that order book. My only request to all your viewers, if you eventually understand defense sector and you decide to invest in defense, have 3 to 5 year kind of time horizon, because these companies make very complex engineering, high technology products. You can't deliver a missile, whether it is surface to surface, air to air, or air to surface within 24 hours. It takes a lot of time. So have 3 to 5 years plus kind of time horizon.
Advice, Gaurang, and a valuable one. So thank you so much for that. Time for a rapid fire round. Vaishali and Gaurang, try to keep your answers as short as possible. The first one is the data patterns. This is for you, Vaishali. Uma from Bengaluru wants to know as to what price should she average. She's bought at the levels of 3958.
Okay, so average at 3600.
The next one's Crompton gives a great.
So Crompton Greaves, I believe you're talking about Crompton Greaves Consumer Electricals.
Yes, that one, yes.
Puneet,
yes, that is 700 shares bought at 280. Gaurang, any view?
So Crompton Greaves, I believe you're talking about Crompton Greaves Consumer Electricals.
Yes, that one, yes.
Puneet, if that is the stock, we have a positive coverage.
Okay, Mazagon Doc 30 shares bought at an average price of 2712. Continue to hold from a long-term perspective. Surendra from Bengaluru wants to know. I think Gaurang already answered that, but Gaurang, quick view.
Well, again, if long-term, continue to hold on, and if you want to add to it, you can definitely do that. We have positive coverage.
Motia Loswal bought at 913 by a viewer. He wants to know if he should still continue to hold. This is Jaydeep. What would you recommend, Vaishali?
Hold.
Okay, the next one that we have is on Geo Financial Services. Our viewer Mahalakshmi from Hyderabad wants to know if she can continue to hold this for 2 years. She's got 1,000 shares at the levels of 253. Gaurang?
Hold on and add for long term.
L&T bought at 4,000 odd by Subhojit. What should he do, Gaurang, with this counter now?
One of the most promising and profit-oriented companies in the entire cap goods engineering, diversified as we know it. Hold on and act on dips for long term.
Okay, the next one is on KC International. Satyan has bought at the levels of 680. He says he's sitting on a 30% loss since the earnings. But can he continue to hold? What are the short-term targets suggesting? Vaishali?
I would say add more to this level.
The next question coming in is on Tenneco Clean Air at 506. So she's currently sitting in profits. Asking what she should do with this counter. Gaurang, any coverage by any chance if you covered it during the IPO or anything that you like in the auto ang space?
So auto ancillary, like I mentioned, Uno, Minda, Madhusan, Samardan, CIE Automotive are some of the names that we are positive. But this one, I think it'll better Vaishali take it.
Vaishali, any view by any chance?
Are some of the names that we are positive. But this one, I think it'll better Vaishali take it.
Vaishali, any view by any chance? On Tenneco, I know recent listing, limited charts.
Yeah, so if the trend is intact, I think continue holding with a stop loss of 560 and this can go towards 630.
Okay, NHPC is the next one. Prashant has bought 2,000 shares at the levels of 83 rupees. Continue to hold, Vaishali?
Hold.
The next one coming in now, it's on Avantel, bought at 158 by Dilip. What should he do with this counter, Vaishali, now?
So Avantel currently at around 153. Continue holding and I think look for a target of 180.
Okay. Okay, the next one is on Force Motors. What targets, Vaishali, do you see on the charts for Force Motors for the next 12 months?
Can be 25,000 levels again.
Railtel bought at 330 and Ramana currently sitting in losses, asking if she should still continue to hold. Would you recommend that, Vaishali?
So I think Railtel continue holding with a stop loss of 305.
Okay, Biocon, 3,000 shares bought in 2004. Neerja wants to know as to what should be her strategy going forward. Gaurang, your view?
So this one has been one of the most underperformers in terms of pharma pack. But yeah, if you're a long-term investor, continue to hold.
Next one's on KRN Heat Exchangers. Our viewer Sudhir from Jammu wants to enter this counter now. Vaishali, would you recommend that?
Good level to enter is 850.
NTPC Green, is this a good time to invest? Shankar from Bengaluru says he's planning to buy 500 shares. Vaishali?
Yes. Most of the green stocks are doing well and getting in momentum. This too looks good. 100 should be the stop loss.
Okay, alright. So that brings us to the end of this rapid fire round as well as Ask Profit. Vaishali and Gaurang, thank you so much for helping us answer all those stock related queries. But viewers, we're completely out of time. But if we've missed your query in this edition, then you can tune in at 2 p.m. and ask all your stock related questions. But do stay tuned because Know Your Company comes up next.
Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk, including potential loss of capital, liquidity risk, and market volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी।
Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk, including potential loss of capital, liquidity risk, and market volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision.
India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
When the headlines move fast, perspective matters. On Editor's Cut. When the headlines move fast, perspective matters. On Editor's Cut. To distill the week's information blitz into clear perspective. Down the stories shaping the world, from markets and the economy to global conflicts and what lies ahead. This is where experience meets insight. No noise, no hype, just sharp takes on what to watch next. Editor's Cut, every Friday, 3:30 p.m. only on NDTV Profit.
Economy, business, world, technology. Noise filtered, numbers decoded. World, technology. Noise filtered, numbers decoded.
Hello and welcome to KYC. I am Sharad Dubey and you are watching NDTV Profit. Interesting show of KYC where I get you hidden gems, interesting market cap, companies, and also interesting company has come. But before that, I'd like to give you some hints. It's a bit difficult to guess. It's in a very complicated sector, but I'll try to simplify it for you. They manufacture polyester films and specialty polymers. Interesting company. Also, recently the company has come out with its Q4 numbers, and if you look at sequential basis, the company has delivered. That is where my interest came, and of course promoters also were increasing the stake in this company. Stock itself is up 37% from March lows. It's a bit difficult company to guess, but try to do that. In the packaging segment, we have 5-6 companies. One of them is Ester Industries. This is what we are going to talk about. And why are we calling this company? That's the big question here. It's largely a small cap company. Why the interest? The question is on the Q4 numbers. There was a little bit of turnaround, and will that sustain going ahead or not? And remember, there's a lot of crude derivatives at play when you deal with a packaging company. So let's just look at the key questions. Why are we calling this company? The first one is definitely going to be there on the improvement in the trade environment. Is the momentum going to continue, especially on the trade tariff front? That is where the clarity has come in as of now for this industry. They have a higher exports also, and the rising raw material cost. Is that a concern? Is there a pass through there? All these questions we'll try to understand, especially learning the industry. And will there be any margin pressure in the first half of FY27, or the global pricing will offset that? That's the important question to be asked, and of course this becomes also important. Apart from this, there are some questions also which we'd like to focus on, and that is the implementation of plastic waste management rules. That's a major retrigger, especially in the recycling theme. And recently they did a 165 crore fundraise rules. That's a major re-trigger, especially in the recycling theme. And recently they did a 165 crore fundraise via warrants. Where will the application be? That's the key question to be asked. And the European Union's eco-design for sustainable product regulations. The next 2 to 3 years, there is more time left. What benefits does this happen? And this is very interesting, and this is what we will talk about. Ester and Loop JV. This is where the specialty angle comes in, and the company is moving towards that. So maybe this is an inflection point to an otherwise a commoditized business. And of course, the capex expansion plans ahead as well. Will they take it? Will they kind of delay it on the geopolitical issues? That's what we'll try to figure out. But we have a turnaround specialist in this industry, so the conversation will be really strong. We have Vaibhav Jha, CEO at Ester Industries, where he'll talk about how the company might move ahead, especially whether it's at an inflection point or not. But let's try to understand Ester Industries करती क्या है. छोटी कंपनी है, प्रमोटर अपने स्टेक ने acquire किया है थोड़ा, और that is where the interest has come in. 40 years old company, it manufactures polyester films, specialty polymers and rPET as well. These are the recycled PET, to put that in perspective. But where are the applications? So this is of course there in the primary flexible packaging space, and we are seeing this long-term trend going ahead. Specialty polymers, they are in the niche area. This is into the rigid packaging, textiles, especially in the technical textiles. That is where a little bit margins also come. Customers are in over 50 countries and a good exposure they already have. Apart from this, let's look at the other key details, and this includes 3 state-of-art manufacturing facilities across India. Some is there in Haryana, some is in Hyderabad. 20 granted patents they have, and manufacturing facilities across India. Some is there in Haryana, some is in Hyderabad. 20 granted patents they have, and a very important strategic partnership they have with Loop Industries JV, especially with Nike as an anchor customer. That's what we will be looking out. And 62% revenue comes from exports. That means the depreciation of rupee is actually aiding the company. They have a key customers. They include Godrej, ITC as well. And also, if you look at the FY26 revenue breakup, still the 87%, the majority of that still comes from polyester films. This is the revenue segment that's around 13% coming from specialty polymers. This is where the value-added segment also lies. So it will be pretty much interesting how this product mix changes going ahead. And this is the installed capacity. You can see polyester chip, polyester film and rPET. This comes under your polyester polymers. And there's a second segment which we spoke about. This is specialty polymer. These are the installed capacities. But what's the key management commentary in this Q4 earnings? They are focusing on the premium specialty product mix. So that'll be interesting to talk about. rPET, there's a higher production and demand happening, and this is for the sustainable packaging, and this is the future I would like to talk about, especially if you're tracking this sector. Uncertainty is there in particular segment in specialty polymers. So uncertainty is there in particular segment in specialty polymers. So we'll try to understand that from the management, and that was the impact in the Q4 numbers. But there are key concerns. Higher raw material costs and that input, is it going to impact more in the first quarter? Second concern for this stock is there's a lack of FI and DI participation, and that brings it to my next point. That's the lack of analyst coverage, and this is why we get these companies in KYC to you to make better and informed decision. Return ratios are also muted, and that is where the concern lies. Next point, that's the lack of analyst coverage, and this is why we get these companies in KYC to you to make better and informed decision. Industries. But is the worst over? That's my question. Another take I'll want to give, because the recycling business in India might drive alpha, and of course from foreign customers as well. Now they have an improved global pricing right now because there has been an increase in the Chinese origin prices. That's what the management has also stated. And interestingly, a lot of anti-dumping duties coming on the BOPET. This is one of the key products of theirs in their film imports, and this augurs well for domestic players like the company. BOPET films export headwinds are abating on the tariff clarity. That's what they mentioned. That's what we have seen in the Q4 numbers also. This is very important to note down that maybe the worst is over for the company, and promoter buying continues in this counter. That is where the interest for me lies in Ester Industries. But let's try to understand more step by step in our KYC. What are the ratings we generally give to a company when we judge them? First and foremost, of course, the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow is something which we definitely look at, and these are the most important ones. Then is the return ratios, especially I'll try to get you the ROC numbers to see over the period of 4 to 5 years how the company has performed. Then is the return ratios, especially I'll try to get you the ROC numbers to see over the period of 4 to 5 years how the company has performed. Shareholding, how much has been moved. Of course, FIDI is something number which I'd like to show and point out to you for this company. Street cred for the last 5 years, has the company actually made money or not? Valuations, it's a very competitive market, especially in the packaging segment. Is there a commodity at play, or is there a valuation comfort, or isn't? That's the key question to be asked. And lastly, the outlook, the medium term, long term and short term. I'll get you all of them in our rating parameters. But before that, let's start with the first rating parameter, and that is the income statement. And this is where a little bit of concern lies. On a long-term basis, there hasn't been much. You know, the 3-year CAGR numbers, EBITDA has been strong, but top-line growth hasn't been that strong. So overall, not a very strong set of numbers coming in. But if you look at the Q4 numbers, I really like the net profit in the company from a loss turned into net profit. That is where the turnaround has happened, and this is what is something which augurs well for the company, and that is what I feel is negating their long-term performance. But the margins, at once it was at 17.9% in FY22, and then you see how much volatile the margin setup is, and this is the entire nature of the industry. Do not blame the company, at times the industry as such, and that is why at times what happens is a derating happens in the industry as well. So that must have impacted the company as well, and that's what we can see on the screen. So it's a neutral rating right now on income statement right now, especially focusing on the Q4 numbers. That's where the turnaround might sustain. Balance sheet is pretty strong, I would say, and their borrowing levels have come down around 438 crores. There it is stable at 404 crore rupees. Remember, there is a working capital is also required in this business, and it's decently, cash flows are there in this company around 104 odd crore rupees. The cash balances, and they recently did a fundraise also. So yes, net, the balance sheet management of the company remains strong. So I'm going to give this a thumbs up. But let's talk about from income statement and balance sheet. Let's talk about cash flows, what's happening here. And remember, there's a little bit of lumpiness also at times in the way geopolitical tensions work. Remember, 62% of revenue comes from exports as well. So there is lumpiness, as we discuss. But look at the cash flow from operation. That has done well. And of course, the cash flow conversion has also been strong. But will it be, sustaining all throughout, or will there be some volatility? To give that perspective, I'm going to give this a neutral rating because this industry is as such. So that's the neutral rating for the cash flow segment. Return ratios, and that's where my concern starts coming in. ROC numbers, generally you should expect something between 14 to 15%, but the way volatility comes in, and see in FY22 this amount was 14%, now that has come down. You should expect something between 14 to 15%, but the way volatility comes in, and see in FY22 this amount was 14%, now that has come down. It's very lower side. That is why a little bit of concern comes in the return ratios, especially when I'm tracking the ROC numbers. That means a lot of stock returns have also not been made in long term. I'll get to that, but as of now it's a strong thumbs down when it comes to the return ratio. Let's talk about the shareholding, and shareholding, the promoter stake, it's unchanged, literally 62 odd percent. A minor buying happened in the March quarter, and after that also little bit of reports suggest that promoter buying was there in this counter. Public, it's been around 38 there, but look at the FIs and DIs. There hasn't been any kind of bigger move coming in, very negligible exposure. That's where my complaint is. Why is that? Is there lack of analyst coverage, or does the company needs to come out with something more? So as of now, let's keep it neutral rating for the shareholding segment. Apart from the shareholding segment, let's talk about street cred, and this is very much important. As the company actually made money for the investors, of course, a lot of packaging players there. There's a lot of stories over the last 3 to 4 years that this industry will do well, but there seems to be a derating, and this is where the concern lies. From March lows, a lot of stocks went up. The stock company also went up 37%. But to give you another picture, look at this. From 2025 highs, the stock is still down 34%. एक साल में देखें तो 19% का घाटा. But the biggest hit, if you are a long-term investor, is for the last 5 years, the stock is down 32%. So big concern it hasn't made money for medium-term and long-term investors. So I'm going to give this a thumbs down as well. Let's talk about valuations. Despite correction, are the valuations attractive? In my analysis, no. Why? Look at that. These are the trailing 12-month P as per Bloomberg's data. I've taken Ester Industries still at 64 times. But you compare that with the other players, especially Uflex and Cosmoforce, they are ranging between 15 to 17x, and the story is the same. If you get even Polyplex, that's coming in at 13 times. Compare that with Jindal Poly, yes, that's on the higher side, it's 49x. But amongst its peers also, Ester Industries is expensive. So we need to see the earnings. Good earnings comes in, then this ratio falls down. So this is the entire picture. But as of now, in peer comparison also, I'm going to give this a strong thumbs down. Let's talk about outlook. That is where my interest lies. The company is optimizing, or they are showing optimism, from medium to long-term perspective. So that's a very long kind of a statement coming in. Let's get into a little bit more details. What else the company is focusing on? They recently did 165 crore capital infusion. How will they go ahead with it? That's something to ask about. And also the anti-dumping duties coming in from the government is against China and other countries is a positive trigger as well. There was a good turnaround in the fourth quarter and the Chinese pricing is on the higher side, and that is where the bullishness happened. But take everything with a pinch of salt. Why? Because there's a rising interest rate scenario. Of course, pass-throughs and price hikes do take time in this industry also. So I'm going to give this a neutral rating. So let's try to figure out what's the total KYC rating for Ester Industries. Largely untracked, but an interesting name came. In my analysis, income statement, cash flow has been neutral. Balance sheet is nicely managed, but the concern starts coming in when I talk about the return ratios, the shareholding, the street cred. That is where the concern lies. Outlook is largely neutral, and of course there is a concern that there is no FI or DI participation. So the company needs to come up with something in the numbers also, and of course a good momentum in the stock will also aid investor sentiment. But as of now, there is a lack of analyst coverage. Let's see the total numbers. It's on the lower side of the averages generally, which I give for a company aid investor sentiment. But as of now, there is a lack of analyst coverage. Let's see the total numbers. It's on the lower side of the averages generally, which I give for a company in KYC, and Ester Industry gets 3 out of 8. But that doesn't mean that this is going to be forever there. Of course, if company starts improving, there will be chances this number goes up as and when we get them again in KYC. So to put that in perspective, we have Vaibhav Jha. He's the CEO of Ester Industries. He'll be talking about, the growth outlook for the company, and interesting trivia about him. He's the ex-CEO of Reliance Sibur Elastomers. He had led this company in a turnaround. So he's a turnaround specialist, and 2 decades of experience he has in chemical and synthetic rubber, and also education from IIT Bombay. So we'll try to get him all details with, Vaibhav, but just
Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk, including potential loss of capital, liquidity risk, and market volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी.
Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk and volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision.
India's unshakable news habit. And India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversation.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us. Insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
When the headlines move fast, perspective matters. On Editor's Cut, our editors come together with experts to distill the week's information plates into clear perspective. Down the stories shaping the world, from markets and the economy to global conflicts and what lies ahead. This is where experience meets insight. No noise, no hype, just sharp takes on.
Welcome back to KYC, and now we are joined in by Vaibhav Jha. He is the CEO at Ester Industries. Good afternoon, Vaibhav. It's always a pleasure to have you, and of course a very strong set of sequential number growth which I have seen coming in the company, and of course the management commentary was also strong. I just wanted to understand, with so much uncertainty involved, you have a higher exposure to exports. Do you think this turnaround, or whatever these numbers had come in the fourth quarter, do you think this momentum spills to Q1, or is there some caution also at play?
Thank you, Sharad. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Sharad, see, I think there are two factors at play, right? When you try and assess what we are trying to do here at Ester. One is the industry structure, and the industry structure has undergone a change, both domestically and internationally. So whatever were the headwinds which we faced in the previous quarters, they have transitioned into tailwinds. On the industry side in India, there has been a big structural push which we have got in terms of improvement in BOPET demand due to the recently notified PWMR rules, which mandate incorporation of a certain amount of PCR content in the rigid as well as flexible packaging. So what this means is that the brands in the rigid as well as flexible packaging. So what this means is that the brands who actually are the end users of the flexible packaging, they are going to move a lot of their laminates from substrates like PPP, other substrates to BOPET, because BOPET is the only substrate which can help them fulfill these recycling norms which have been notified under PWMR. Also on the rigid side, where 30% of recycled content needs to be incorporated, it's going to create even better demand for rPET compared to what we had seen over the last few quarters. So there is a demand pull. On the capacity side, we are seeing reasonable stability with very few capacities which are likely to come up in next 3 years. So all in all, what this means is domestically the operating rates are going to be high. There is going to be a leverage in terms of the profitability that the industry can command. On top of that, DGTR has recently introduced or notified, and we are expecting that very soon Ministry of Finance is going to notify it. And this anti-dumping duty, whenever it is applied, will be on the low-cost imports which the industry was struggling with from countries like China, Thailand. Yeah. So overall, to summarize, structurally, we are seeing great strength in industry. And therefore, we think this should sustain.
Vaibhav, the strength we can understand is a very important statement you've given, that from headwinds, the sector turns into tailwinds. But just to understand a little bit more, the raw material pricing is getting costlier also. I just wanted to understand, will that kind of impact the margins in first quarter or the second quarter? Because there is an impact definitely there. And if yes, any price hikes in the annual, because there must be a time period also where there's a lag and then you give out your price hikes as well. So just wanted to understand both the margin outlook and the price hikes.
So see, margins in this industry are depends on the competition from imports as well as the domestic operating rate. The industry has the ability to pass through the raw material increase, so to say, right? So I don't see a challenge in terms of sustaining the margins or improving the margins because of the tightening supply-demand balance in the market.
Vaibhav, we are talking about it also, management commentary coming in the high-margin specialty product segment. And also, let's put that in perspective in the value-added segment. So, over the next 2 to 3 years, how much of your key products, changes into the value-added segment or the specialty premium, as you call it?
Right. So let me give you a little bit of background. So we have now at a 25% share, in terms of specialty films as a part of the overall basket of BOPET films that we sell. And volume-wise, we have seen a growth of almost 15%, despite losing some market in US due to the tariff issue, which we are going to regain now. The other specialty set of product that we have is what we call specialty polymers. And so these are the two segments. And going forward, our target is that we want to take specialty film share from 25% to 60% plus in next 2 to 3 years. And specialty polymers, we want to grow at a sustained CAGR of 20 to 25% over next 2 to 3 years. So those are our targets backed by the business development pipeline, which we have built over past year and a half and which we continue to build. So those are the targets that we are looking to achieve.
Okay, these are two important targets coming in. So of course the margin profile changes of the company and targets coming in. So of course the margin profile changes of the company and a little bit of turnaround in the perception of the industry and the company also comes in. But I just wanted to understand, there was a recent 165 crore fundraise as well via share warrants. What's the application like? Because I presume you are not going very heavy on the capex right now. I just wanted to understand where this usage will be coming in.
So you're very right, Sharad. So within the Ester industry, we are going for very targeted, specific capexes, small capexes, which would enhance our ability to deliver and expand on our specialty portfolio. This 165 crores is something that we have raised for our next growth investment, which is the Elite joint venture, which is a 50-50 joint venture between Ester Industries and Loop Technologies. The total investment is going to be in the range of $160 to $180 million, going to come on stream in 2028. This is first of its kind cutting edge technology which we are putting up for chemical recycling technology, which will make textile to textile recycling a reality, and which is very difficult to achieve anywhere in the world. We have signed Nike as our anchor customer for this joint venture 2 years before the commencement. So this gives you an idea of how much in demand the products to be manufactured by this JV is. So we raised this 165 crores to fund the equity part of this JV.
That's pretty much interesting. And then of course, so two new triggers comes in. One is of course this JV where we'll see the benefits from FY 28-29, and also the way you're moving towards the value added segment. And of course, Vaibhav, history speaks for itself. You have a good exposure and experience in the turnaround segment. But I want to understand a little bit about the global front also. The European Union has some important standards also, apart from PWDR, which we spoke about it. Eco-design for sustainable product regulation. What does this mean? Where does the company stand? and what kind of moves we can expect. You already mentioned market share gains in US market is coming in a category, but over here, what is it for the European Union?
So European Union, I think they are a leader in sustainability regulations, and they break the charts when it comes to the sustainable businesses. And this particular regulation is something which is going to benefit the JV elite that we just talked about. Now, what this regulation does is it makes it mandatory for any apparel sold in EU to have a certain percentage of textile to textile recycled content. And this essentially means that any textile that you are selling in EU recycled content. And this essentially means that any textile that you are selling in EU needs to have this recycled material sourced from a textile. And there is hardly any technology out there in the market which can make it a reality other than the elite JV. So this is a big, big plus for the demand of the products which we are going to manufacture out of JV, and it's going to be quite positive for us.
Right, Weber, we are running out of time, but you have given us almost a 360-degree picture and clarified a lot of queries which are raised in by viewers at KYC, and that's why KYC is one of the #1 shows. It's always a pleasure to have you, Weber, and best of luck for the future. So
Thanks,
that's the management of Ester Industries, and there are some signs of turnaround. Maybe the companies at but that's something which the time will only tell. For such interesting stories like this, stay tuned to NDTV Profit and keep watching KYC. Something which the time will only tell. For such interesting stories like this, stay tuned to NDTV Profit and keep watching KYC.
Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk, including potential loss of capital, liquidity risk, and market volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision. Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk, including potential loss of capital, liquidity risk, and market volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी.
Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk, including potential loss of capital, liquidity risk, and market volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision.
India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate
matters and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversations.
And I'm Alex. Midcap IT is showing strength for the third straight day. So that's
Melody, the chocolatey kyun hai? Exactly, was the jingle that everyone remembers as well. And that's just an interesting tweet that we're picking up from, Prime Minister Narendra Modi as well so far. A surprise gift for Giorgia Meloni that he has taken along with him to Italy. But let's get back to where markets go. In terms of what's on our watch list, Hindalco likely include...
It's called Sequent Scientific.
Subdued investor participation. Do you think that if you're looking at fresh buys, you should be waiting for the dust to settle, or even if you have chips on the table as well, should you be waiting for the dust to settle before making new trades when it comes to gold?
I think currently people are waiting to buy gold and silver because there's a lots of ifs and buts after PM Narendra Modi announced that not to buy gold for PM Narendra Modi announced that not to buy gold for the 1 year, and even there is lots of ban on gold import, silver import. That's why people are not keen to buy gold and silver at the right time at this now, because people are looking towards the survival point. They are save money for the future perspective. So I think now ETF is also looking on a very range bound momentum. There is no kind of positive trend. So I think it's a time to stay away from the gold and silver.
It rolls out a large employee policy for a 44,000 base. The IndusInd Bank says the move is aimed at trust-based people practices. This means it's going to be a trust-based. The infrastructure has broadly been in place since COVID. They have to now trust their employees to use it correctly. Also from Axis Bank, they've continued their COVID era policies where they've handed only 2 days office attendance, and the hybrid policy going on. They've mandated only 2 days office attendance, and this is again for non-customer facing roles. For customer, implement a work from home policy. Now the important thing as we freeze here for a bit is to understand the level at which this can work. HDFC Bank employs 2.1 lakh people. IndusInd Bank employs about 45,000 people. And Axis Bank employs 1 lakh people. If you take that number of 30 to 40%, 1 lakh people. If you take that number of 30 to 40%, as you can see,
which maintains buy, but they cut the target price to platforms are in consolidation.
Management of Blue Spring and
a bit of a move is coming in from the Sensex. Looking at Bajaj Finserv and M&M also, that's where a good momentum is there. But what's not working, there's a pressure coming in at least in ICICI Bank, Tata Steel and BL as well. Right now also it's largely a flattish kind of a move coming in as market is not getting a proper direction. But let's see what's there.
And here's where you can watch us.
When the headlines move fast, perspective matters. On Editor's Cut.
Clearly, SDFC Bank has not been a great market. So I think company posted very strong numbers for Q4. I think very strong EBITDA margin. So continue to hold. I think the next financial year should be much better. So I would say he'll get a better risk reward if he can hold on for another while.
Got it. Well, Piyush Rai actually is holding on to Finolex Cables at 1145. Sachin, should he continue to hold or book out?
Finolex Cable overall trend is good. He can hold.
Hero MotoCorp bought at 5,444 about 5 to 6 months ago. Is it a good time to average, Avinash, or are you looking at some other two-wheeler play?
I think my guess is Hero Motor can be added. My sense is, the next financial year hopefully should be good. Monsoon is a very important factor, and I think rural demand, if it picks up, definitely the numbers should be better.
Got it. Well, the next question now coming in, it's on Siemens, bought at 2850, about 100 shares. Is it a good time to continue holding Sachin or book out?
He can hold basically. Today is actually a good breakout levels. He can hold, there's no problem.
Got it. The next question that's coming in, it's on Cupid. Bought at around 119. Sachin, should he continue to hold?
The trend is good. He can hold.
On Muthoot Finance also, Sachin, is it a good time to buy for the next 3 months? Is what Dilip is asking.
Muthoot Finance avoid.
Avoid. Okay. Next one's from Sumana from Dubai. She's bought into Gallant Ispat. She's down in this particular stock about 20 to 30%. Avinash, should she continue to hold?
Yeah, I think she should continue to hold. Steel sector should do well, and I think give a time frame of at least 6 to 12 months.
Within the green energy space, Avinash, KPI green, NTPC green, or any other stock that you would suggest in that space?
No, I think KPI green could definitely be considered from a slightly medium to long term perspective. But definitely the larger players like even Vari or Premier Energies, if one takes a 12 to 18 month view, even these stocks look interesting.
Got it. Well, on Sanofi, Avinash also bought at 4753 by a viewer Venkat Raman, and he wants to know a 1 year view on the stock.
Yeah, I think these are MNC companies, where typically already they trade at fairly expensive valuations. So I would suggest that, at higher levels, it's better to exit because the investor seems to have purchased at a slightly high level, which looks unlikely in the next 12 months.
Got it. Well, that is, the end of the rapid fire as well as this edition of Ask Profit. Avinash as well as Sachin, thanks so much for helping us solve all those stock related queries over the last half an hour. Appreciate your inputs. But viewers, out of time in this edition of Ask Profit, stay tuned though. India Market Close comes up next.
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी
Investments in specialized investment fund involves relatively higher risk, including potential loss of capital, liquidity risk, and market volatility. Please read all investment strategy related documents carefully before making the investment decision.
India's unshakable news habit. NDTV.com is India's #1 English news website.
Hi, I'm Tamanna Inamdar. Watch me on NDTV Profit, where I break down the day's biggest business stories. What happened, why it matters, and what it means for your money.
Hi, I'm Neeraj Shah. Watch me on NDTV Profit for the most incisive market intelligence and meaningful corporate conversation.
And I'm Alex Matthew. Markets, mutual funds, insurance, personal finance. I help you cut through the noise and make smarter financial choices. And here's where you can watch us.
When the headlines move fast, perspective matters. On Editor's Cut, our editors come together with experts to distill the week's information plates into clear perspective. Down the stories shaping the world, from markets and the economy to global conflicts and what lies ahead. This is where experience meets insight. No noise, no hype, just sharp takes on what to watch next. Editor's Cut, every Friday, 3:30 p.m. only on NDTV Profit.
Economy, business, world, technology. Noise filtered, numbers decoded. Insights that rewire your worldview. From governance to growth, we connect the dots. Your daily edge, your global advantage. India Business Reports with me, Gauri Dwivedi, weeknights on NDTV Profit.
He has been tracking markets for over a decade, spots the trends before they hit the screen. And he is now bringing his analysis to the show that the market watches. Watch Sharad Dubey on Know Your Company, a show that puts the most traded stocks under the scanner. We dissect the company so that you, the investor, don't have to get the management to answer questions relevant to you. Watch Know Your Company weekdays at 11:30 a.m. to understand your next big bet. New year, new power panel, India market opening, now in its boldest lineup. This is where the trends get tested and stocks get conviction.
I'll recommend a buy call on a stock only when I'm fully convinced on the stock. With a table thumping buy.
And when the street wants the levels, he brings the chart.
Charts speak the truth, and I deliver the levels with no frills.
Parag Thakkar and Kush Bohra are now part of the morning crew with Tamanna, Neeraj and Alex. Same show, sharper voices. Every morning on India Market Open, your favorite market show just got better. On NDTV Profit, for your profit.
It seems it is a melody moment for the markets as well. We have Nifty 50, which is at the day's highest levels, and that's why I call it the melody moment. Welcome to India Market Close with Mahima and myself, Hiral Dadia. You know, it's very interesting, Mahima, to actually see the melody moment, which has actually gone viral all over the internet. I mean, you can see the visuals over here where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is actually handing over a packet of melody to Melanie as well. And I'm sure I want to offer this one to Mahima as well, if she wants to try and have one and see how it tastes. Because I felt probably this is a generation which has not really been accustomed to melodies like the way all we were. And after this, what is interesting is what I want to show Mahima is the advertisement of melody. Let's pull up that one. If we can just have the visuals and even the audio around it. You know, this was the ad.
Melody khao, khud jaan jao. Melody hai chocolatey, melody hai chocolatey.
So that was a jingle.
सभी जवानों से एक ही सवाल, मेलोडी इतनी चॉकलेटी कैसे बनी? मेलोडी खाओ, खुद जान जाओ.
Do you remember this one, Mahima? Have you heard this one?
I have honestly not seen this ad, but I'm sure that everybody who's watching this at least knows the jingle ki melody khao aur khud ja jao.
And melody hai chocolatey, chocolatey hai melody. Yeah. That's the jingle. Yeah. And that's exactly what is seen here as well. And that's what the mood is looking like in terms of markets, is what I would have to say. Let's shift focus there. You have Nifty 50, which is at the day's highest levels as we speak, and that's the interesting part here. 0.2% higher, though the range is absolutely narrow. Let's pull up Bank Nifty on the screens as well, and you'll see the kind of schematics that are playing out. That also has climbed to the day's highest levels. Whether the contribution is coming in from the private banks or the PSU banks is the key question that we have to check. What are the trends indicating, Mahima, if you have to look at broader markets? Because then we look at the sectoral picture and the contributors separately.
So even the mid-cap 150 is trading at its day's high point as we speak, up by about 0.25%. Sharp recovery is what we're seeing in the small cap space as well. But, you know, both of these are having a very range-bound trade. I think that's the case for the benchmarks as well. But let's try to pull up the sectoral heat map and see as to whether things have changed there or not. Since the start today, pharma was leading, but that's now taken a seat back. Oil and gas topping that chart, up 1.4%, followed by energy, auto, infra. Realty has also turned into green. It's interesting.
In fact, all of these sectors, Mahima, are the ones which were actually under pressure, have all gone into the positive, and that's the clear trend that you're seeing. That reversal that is happening tomorrow will be the weekly expiry as well. So that is something that probably is having an impact here. Pharma, in fact, which was the only positive sector, which is absolutely flat now, trying to go towards the negative. Let's look at the contributors in terms of Nifty 50, which are, or even if the heat map of Nifty 50, because that will give you a trend there as well. Still, majority of the greens which we are seeing, or I would say it's actually 50-50 here. Hindalco continues to be there. You have RIL, which has actually taken a catch up there. Bajaj, Auto, M&M, all of these auto names which were in the red top losers have made it to the top right now. What is under pressure is a BL, which was always there. IT has come off slightly, so Tech Mahindra is coming in here. A few of the consumption names, Eternal, ITC, HUL, Nestle are the ones which are trading under pressure. So it's a very interesting reversal. The ones which were trading in the positive in the morning have actually turned into the red, and the ones which are in the red have turned into the positive as well.
Actually, the advanced decline ratio would be interesting.
Correct.
Because that will show us the broad end of spectrum. Almost even Stevens, right? And we're almost
see the way we started off. Yeah,
yes.
See the way we started off with
so
really
wide.
1800 declines. It's come down to 1300 and your advances have actually moved up.
Yes.
So from 434 stocks that were advanced, we've actually moved up to nearly 1300 stocks. So interesting market in terms of trade today. In fact, let's quickly look at the key triggers that we should be watching out for. You know, the index is neither here nor there is what we are saying. It is absolutely in a consolidation zone. There is strong recovery coming in from the day's lowest levels again. 23,400, that's the strong support level that you should be watching out for. And in terms of the resistance, 23,650 to 23,700, these two are the levels you should be seeing in terms of the resistance. Now, the bulls will need a decisive close above that 23,800 level to actually target 24,000 to 24,300. Now, if Nifty fails to hold that 24,300 level, 23,400 level, I beg your pardon, it could accelerate as well, and there could be selling pressure that could be coming in. Now, Bank Nifty, that has been weaker than the benchmarks, and that's mainly been led by private banks. You will see that if you have to look at the components of the Bank Nifty as well. You have the Bank Nifty, which has fallen in 8 of the last 9 sessions. So that's telling you something. This is indicating persistent selling pressure over there. And you will have to watch the immediate support at 53,000, which is the floor, and the 53,000 support, which is the floor, and 54,000 is the ceiling there. If 53,000 is broken, the next defensive wall is at around 52,680 to 52,800. So these are the levels that you should be watching out for as well in trade. But let's also get in Nilesh Jain, Head AVP Technical and Derivative Research Equity from Centrum Broking, as well as Sameer Dalal from Natparal Stock Broking joining in. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Nilesh, let me come to you first in terms of levels. The recovery that has come in today seeming to be slightly strong. However, the range is absolutely narrow. And the weakness in terms of Bank Nifty, especially the private banking space, is something which is persistent. What is the setup looking like for you if to look at the next 1 hour of trade and getting into tomorrow's session?
Very good afternoon to you. Good afternoon, everyone. A very good rebound that we have seen from the lower levels today once again. Because if you see in last 6 consecutive sessions, if you see the structure, we have seen multiple attempts were made to surpass its 50-day moving average, which is right now placed at 23,730 levels. At the same time, Nifty has taken a very strong support in the zone of 23,300 to 23,400. So looking at the overall setup, we can expect a positive close today near about 23,650 to 23,700 zone. We have seen a sharp cool off in the IVs as well today. So that is also supporting the positive move that we have seen specifically in the second half of the session. So looks good as far as Nifty is concerned with closing perspective. If it manages to close about 23,600, that will be considered as a positive close. Then we can expect a follow-up move in the coming session on the upside towards 23,700 or 23,800. Coming to the Bank Nifty, that has been the weakest link on stall and where we have seen a lot of underperformance recently. So Bank Nifty needs to surpass 54,000 level on the upside. Then only we can expect a strong move on the upside towards 55,000. So as of now, all eyes will be on banking space, specifically private sector bank, where we have seen a lot of underperformance to continue. So just to sum up for the day, for the remaining 1 hour, we expect some sort of a positive setup and positive close. And for the coming days, we are likely to see a break above 50 DMA that is placed at 20,730.
And Nilesh, what about your picks for the day? Because things have moved, since the past 1.5 hour, right? A lot of sectors have turned green. Overall, your view with regards to what counters should one go ahead and buy and trade in right now?
Well, absolutely. We have seen multiple positive development on sectorial front, on sector-specific move we have seen in today's trading session as well. So first of all, within OMC space, after a long time, we are getting some bit of conviction coming back. So there could be possibility that we may see some follow-up move to continue on the upside. So HPCL, one particular counter that is on my radar, given the kind of a breakout that we have seen today from its 21 TM moving average. It has also taken support at its 50 DMA. So we can expect a follow-up move towards 390 to 400. So these are the two targets on the upside. First target would be 390, second target would be 400, and stop loss can be placed somewhere around 372. So that will be my preferred bet within OMC space. And coming to other stocks like Paytm, particularly this particular counter, looks like giving a good close and a good setup as well. So we may see a follow-up move in Paytm towards 1180 to 1200. One can keep a stop loss below 1120, and Paytm is also buy.
Okay, so that's with regards to the topics coming in. Paytm is also at the day's highest levels. Samir, coming to you, a quick question in terms of the rebound that's coming in the markets. IT has been a sector which has been trying to show that strength over the last 2 days. Today also it was showing its resilience as well when we opened up. There is a little bit of profit booking that's coming in today, and you have Nvidia that will be reporting numbers overnight, where a lot of cues that the sector would be taking tomorrow. How are you looking at the setup in terms of IT currently? Would you be a buyer at current levels? Because valuations somewhere are very cheap right now. And if you have to compare the conviction or valuations for large cap IT versus mid cap IT, it's reversed. When now people are finding large cap IT more attractive as compared to mid cap IT. How are you looking at it?
Yeah, hi. So first of all, thank you for having me on the show. When it comes to the IT sector, we've been saying for some time that we think it is a defensive kind of a play. We are not saying that this is a sector that's going to be giving you exceptional returns. You can expect anywhere between 8 to 10% CAGR returns over a 2 to 3 year period at the moment, at least the way things stand. Now, you talked about the fact that valuations are cheap in IT, or cheap relatively to what they historically used to trade at. But then the growth rates are also the lowest compared to what they used to be historically. So your valuation multiples are obviously moving in the same level or in the same direction that growth is moving. As growth tapers down, so is the valuation multiple tapering down. So to assume that growth is going to pick up over the next 1 year seems highly improbable. And hence, I continue to believe that I think the valuations are not going to re-rate up. So you're not going to get any valuation up. What you're going to have to work on is whether the growth can come through, and then the cash flows that pay out the dividends give you that kind of return. So anywhere between, including everything, 10% return. Now, a second thing I wanted to point out, which is also something important, is if you look at Indian IT services, the services of employees that they provide, it's very similar to what something like a Cognizant supplies, which is listed in the US market. Cognizant is trading at about 10 times forward earnings compared to our Indian IT is trading at 15 times. So we are still trading at a premium compared to what US believes, or US participants believe, that traditional IT, ERP employee kind of generating services should trade at. So is it possible that the valuation multiples keep moving down? That's a possibility given the fact that FIs still hold a large chunk of Indian IT services. And if they want to take a call that, look, I don't want to take the dollar risk, the currency risk, plus I'm getting Cognizant at a cheaper valuation, why not sell my TCS or Infosys and buy a Cognizant? So can it go down further? Yes, it can. Should technically, given the fact that India is a growth story, Indian IT keep falling? Probably not, but it's a tussle at this point of time. And the call we have is a defensive play, buy it with a very low expectation of 10% return.
So that's with regards to where IT goes. Let's quickly just address Samvardhana Mothers in Q4. Across revenue, EBITDA, margins and profits, the numbers have actually beat street estimates, and that's the reason why you're seeing that kind of a spike that's coming in terms of the stock as well. 3% up move coming in there. Interestingly, the margins have actually been in double digits at 11.1% versus a street expectation of 9.8%. Profits have also been ahead of expectations as well. In terms of absolute numbers, it is seeming to be good, but there has been a one-time loss of 194 crores during the quarter versus a loss of 46 crores on a year-on-year basis. In terms of individual businesses as well, wiring harness business, a 13% growth. Modules and polymer business has seen a growth of around 6%. And in fact, I will be getting my colleague Puneet to decode this for us better. But that stock is at the day's highest levels as we speak. Along with this, you have a Grasim Industries also, which has just reported numbers. If you can just pull up that one on the screens and see what's happening there. That stock is also seeing a spike right now. A net loss of 164 crores versus 288 crores. So the loss has narrowed when it comes to Grasim, and Mahima tracks the space pretty closely. Mahima, what do you have for us? A one-time loss of 82 crores versus a loss of 114 crores is what I'm seeing on the screens.
Yeah.
Revenues have grown, and if you have to look at the EBITDA, what is it telling you?
So basically that is on account of an exceptional loss, the one-time loss that we are seeing, and that is on account of an impairment of certain plant and equipment building that they've done with regards to their chemical Vilayat facilities. Barring that, Hiral, I think the standalone numbers look pretty impressive, because we've been seeing as to how the chemical side of the business for Grasim has been impacting their overall numbers. But this time it seems that the overall top line growth seems to be something that the street is probably liking. From a 8,900 odd crore to a jump of 11,000 odd crore is what we've seen. Cost of raw material slightly has gone up for them. Purchase on stock in trade is also gone up almost by 800 odd crores. So that's something which is putting pressure in terms of where the margins go. But overall, in terms of where the prima facie, the first reading of numbers go, I think it seems to be a good set of numbers. We'd have to see as to how each set of businesses have done, especially
I think the paint business also will be, Builder Opus is going to be the key this time
We'd
around.
have to wait for the press release to come out.
We'll wait for that, but in the meantime, let's even go across to Puneet, who's standing by to give us a little more details with regards to Samvardhana Motherson. Puneet, apart from the key numbers, any key highlights that you're picking up so far in terms of your first cut?
Well, thank you for that. It's definitely a very good set of numbers actually, and beaten estimates also quite handsomely at this point of time in Q4, where you've seen a lot of volatility, especially in the input cost prices as well. So when you look at, in terms of the EBITDA margin, I think that's one of the biggest beats that has come in Motherson's history actually at this point of time, where the EBITDA is up almost 24% on a YOY basis, 3,792 crores, and the margin at 11.1% versus what the estimate was at 9.8%. Despite a 16% quarter-on-quarter rise in commodity cost, and hence, while this was more back-ended, so you could see some impact in Q1, I think 11.1 is one of the highest, given that the company announces further expansion every quarter, and this time around as well that has happened. So I just wanted to highlight that they've announced 4 new developments compared to last quarter, where 2 new capacities have been included, and that's for the packaging business, will be delivered by Q3 of FY27, and capacity expansion being announced for the wiring harness businesses, which will come in Q1 of FY28. And just in terms of what we've seen on the wiring harness business, the growth has been decent at 13%. We got some picture because of Motherson wiring numbers as well for that. But overall, we'll have to watch out for the commentary, especially on what he's seeing on FY27 growth, but also on the input cost impact, what could be expected in Q1 as well.
Okay, all right. So that's, of course, the view coming in on Samvardhana Motherson. Puneet, thank you so much for getting us that first cut. But Nilesh, I'll quickly come to you on both of these names. Samvardhana Motherson, firstly, the stock is, let's try to pull that up and see as to what it's doing right now. But your view overall on the charts as to what should one do right now, taking a position probably makes sense?
Well, absolutely. Prima facie, I think the numbers are good. That's the reason we are witnessing a positive impact. Even on derivative front, if you see, close to 10% of OI addition can be seen. So good long build-up happening in this particular counter. The stock is trading near, in fact, it has hit a fresh record high as well in today's trading session. So very strong chart pattern. And we may see a follow-up on the upside to continue towards 138 to 140 from a very short-term perspective and position perspective. I think it has a potential to move towards 145 to 150 as well. So keeping a stop loss below 130, it's a very good buy at current level from a short-term trading perspective, with a move expected to go towards 138 to 140.
What about Grasim? Because the last time that it touched, the high of 3,000 odd levels, it was not able to break its previous high. So what are the charts indicating there?
Well, absolutely. There are multiple resistances near 3,000 zone. And in fact, if you see, multiple attempts have been made, as you have rightly pointed out. So it is important that it should take out 3,000 mark decisively. Then only we can expect a strong uptick towards 3,200 to 3,400. But yes, having said that, at current level, one can accumulate this particular counter. There are possibilities that once this consolidation gets over, we can expect a move beyond 3,000 as well going forward. At current level, if somebody is already holding the long position, can keep a stop loss below 2850 and post breakout above 3,000. The next target would be 3,200 to 3,400.
So that's with regards to Grasim. But moving on, Viyash Scientific, which was earlier Sequence Scientific, but after the merger, it has delivered a standout quarter with strong revenue growth and a sharp jump in profitability. Varsha is standing by to tell us why we've actually got this as a stock of the day, seeing gains of nearly 11%. Varsha, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that. Clearly a turnaround quarter, I would say, and company is doing a lot of things, going into high margin products which will enhance their margins. But starting with the key four numbers, because that's what the highlights are. Revenue is up almost 20%. Look at the EBITDA margin, sharp uptick over here, and which has translated into net profit. Now, why we have seen this strong turnaround in numbers? First is of course the Q4. If you see, is the strongest quarter ever for the company. Revenue growth strong at near 19%, as I said. Even EBITDA growth is also much higher at 64%, and the operating leverage has clearly, kicked in when it comes to this counter. Now, what is changing structurally from low margin to high margin mix, which is what leading to this expansion in margin. Companies also, from scattered operations to integrated platform, and also if you see, from company is diverting from leverage balance sheet to strong balance sheet. Now talking about merger benefits, because this is also playing out with the company. We all know that Sequence Scientific and Viyash Life Sciences merged in 2025, and the earlier merger has been now fully integrated, and one unified platform is actually improving efficiency. Cost synergies and operating leverage are kicking in, and management is guiding for more synergy benefits ahead, and also one of the reasons why you're seeing better numbers for the company. Also better business mix. This is where the key highlight is, because the formulation is growing at a faster rate than APIs, which is a higher margin one. Higher share from regulated markets like US and Europe, again a higher margin one. Then India, US and Europe all are showing strong growth, and this also improves quality and sustainability of earnings. Lastly, on to the pipeline and growth visibility. Well, 19 products in pipeline across APIs and formulation, and the new approvals and filings across US, EU and Japan. R&D integration is accelerating product launches, and more launches are expected going ahead. So overall, the story over here is company is shifting from low margin to higher margin products, and of course from semi-regulated markets to more regulated markets, or to regulated markets, which will enhance the margins going forward. So this is all the story when it comes to this counter.
It's a very interesting name, because before the merger with Viyash, Sequence Scientific was slightly under pressure somewhere, but all hopes were in terms of the merger going through, and that's what it has done to the business. Samir, any view when it comes to Viyash Scientific? Because a newly merged entity, the results are seeming to be really strong, and with Viyash, it's more of animal pharmaceuticals, which, you're talking about.
So sadly, I never covered Sequence also before it was in its original avatar, so no view on this one.
Charts?
Well, even I don't have any coverage on this particular counter due to the limited data.
Okay, I mean, it's also interesting to see, right? 120% growth is what we've seen on FY basis as well. So FY26, the overall top line has grown. Margins have significantly improved and could improve further as well. So that's the key takeaway, and that's why we're seeing the stock with an uptick of around 11.5%. But let's also bring in my colleague Soumit Sarkar. He might take a while to while we get him mic'd up. I think we were talking about Viyash. The other counter which is looking very interesting today is Barbecue Nation. In the QSR space, it's not every day that a stock like this is zooming in trade. It's
locked
in upper circuit, up 20%. I think I'll go to
Were the
Sameer
earnings,
on this one.
were the earnings good for a barbecue
so
nation? Because it is a still smaller counter, not really done much in the past as well.
Yeah, but I think the interesting move for them is that now they are going for a smaller format store. They've revamped everything that they were doing earlier, and that's going to work for them. Even they are going very big when it comes to store additions, but at the same time, they're saying that the store format is going to be lesser. So area per square foot is going to go down.
This gets me worried somewhere because you're talking about barbecue nation which is shifted. You're talking about a Westlife, which is also not doing that well the way it used to in the past. There was another company called Specialty Restaurants as well. And I think a question with Sameer on this is a must, I think, Mahima.
Yeah, I think he likes Jubilant, if I'm not wrong, right, Sameer?
Yes, I do like this space and, United Food Brands. So, well, look, the results do not really warrant a 20% up move, okay? Let's be very frank. Yes, we saw SSSG growth of 14% on a year-on-year basis, but this was because the numbers had been so subdued over the last couple of years that we are seeing these kind of growth. If you go back if you just scale back maybe 2 years back, you'll see that they've just barely reached, or they've not even reached what kind of sales per store they had 2 years ago, right? So, of course, there's still more room for growth. Now, what they've done, what they've changed for themselves is they've got a couple extra brands which are slightly more premium, which is Salt and Toscano. Salt is an Indian food and Toscano is Italian food. Those are also expanding rapidly. Plus, it's creating its presence globally. I mean, in the sense they're open, they've got 14 stores internationally, a barbecue nation. So it kind of becomes a brand by itself, an international reach, and, it kind of draws in more people. The whole story of Barbecue Nation was initially the experience that they served, where you could grill things in front of you and then eat it fresh. I think to some extent that has become kind of passé, and that's why if you see the numbers have taken a bit of a downturn. But I think if consumerism is to come back, I think barbecue will do well. But does it warrant a 20% move up? Probably not today. But yes, I mean, it's good to see the stock up. We are very positive overall on the QSR space. We've been saying for a while that all of these counters, Westlife, Devyani, barring Jubilant Foods, who's actually been able to deliver SSSG growth, all of them have seen degrowth. So once consumerism, now I think it's going to get pushed back for 6 months because you're going to see inflation once again coming back with the rise in crude and diesel and petrol, which is going to lead to inflation across the board, because of which maybe people may not spend as aggressively. But the India story by itself for QSR is a 5-year story. And if you believe that, a McDonald's, which is only about Westlife, which is 500 stores in the country at the moment, well, 480 to be precise, can scale up to about 900 or 1,000 over the next 5 to 7 years. That is the growth trajectory. And then SSSG and operating leverages play out. These can be great investments from a 5 to 7 year.
Okay. We'll have to wait and watch and see as they pan out. But thank you for that, Sameer. But let's go across to Somit Sarkar, who joins in with all the chatter from the dealing room. Somit, I think some bit of interesting stuff that you will have today with the kind of rebound that's come in today's session. I'm not sure if the street is looking out for something which is sustainable, because the tug of war has continued.
Well, yes, benchmark seems to be in a consolidating mode. It's not giving a big breakout, either it's giving a big breakdown as well at this moment. And even volumes, if you look at in the cash market, they're quite subdued. In fact, they're down nearly 13% compared to what we had seen yesterday. So not much of an action. Few stocks still what dealers have highlighted in trade. Firstly, it's Godfrey Phillips. The buzz on the street is that a block deal might happen very soon. 15% of the promoter stake might see change of hands. So it's an inter-promoter transfer. Not that this stake will be sold to some external party. And also this block deal might happen in the block window, is the buzz on the street. So keep an eye out for Godfrey Phillips here. This stake sale has been a big overhang on the share prices of Godfrey Phillips. For RBL Bank, there are buy flows on the institutional desk. Both FI and DIs have been accumulating this counter, and delivery volumes, well, could be on the higher side for RBL Bank. And lastly, when it comes to DV's Lab, there are sell flows on the large HNI desk, is what dealing rooms have indicated, and dealers are expecting the Q4 to be a bit muted and weakish for DV's Lab.
from this, thank you so much for that. Godfrey Philip, I mean, we did see price increases that were announced. BNK Securities was the one who put out the details yesterday on some of the categories. And now you're talking about a block deal, 15% between promoters. Anything on the charts, Nilesh, on a Godfrey Philip?
Well, Hiral, recently we saw an uptick and counter-phase resistance at 2500. So that is acting as a very strong resistance, where good part is that after the recent decline in last 2-3 sessions, it has reached to its crucial support at 2200. So looks like it may find support near about 2200 to 2250. And we may see a gradual uptick once again. The recent correction, in fact, has given a good opportunity. If somebody is looking to make a fresh entry, then keep a stop loss below 2180, and we can expect once again a move on the upside towards 2400 to 2450.
So that's with regards to Godfrey Philip. But moving on, it's the financial institutions which have now looked at a work from home kind of a culture. Some institutions have said, okay, we will go with it. They are embracing hybrid work. Some have said no. HDFC Bank is embracing hybrid work, and the lender will now allow 2-day work from home for corporate and business teams. You have IndusInd Bank and Axis Bank too, who are incorporating the work from home model. To discuss the nitty-gritties of what this would actually mean for the financial sector, joining us, we have Mr. Ashutosh Khajuria, former Executive Director at Federal Bank, and Mr. Dinesh Khara, former MD at SBI, to talk to us on the same.